What up, my awesome viewers? It's RioGion here, and I believe these three are the only three controllers that are direct input in the market. At least that's what I think it is. Unless there's more. If there is, comment down below and let me know. So, I'm gonna talk a little bit about each one's and what I like, what I dislike. So in terms of overall versatility, like you can use it with a folding phone, with a regular phone, with any kind of phone. Most likely this is your best bet. So in terms, if you have like phones that are a lot longer or folding phones or things like that, any sort of uniquely, more uniquely shaped phones than regular phones, this is going to be your best bet because this one has a movable plug. Like the USB-C is movable. So that means it's a lot easier to plug in and have it read out. If you have like a regular phone, it's simple. If you have like a folding phone, it also works too. So that's nice there. This one is not as versatile, but it's better than the Kishi. So what I mean by that is that if you look closely at the controller, you can still see the detents. This is not movable. This is stuck in place. So one of the downsides that you kind of have to really like work at it to plug it in. And I know on video that seems so simple on video, but it's actually really not. Because I have a very thin phone. If you have like a thicker phone, you have like a Note device or something like that, you're gonna have a harder time to plug it in. If you use a case. I have a thin phone and I don't use a case too, so it seems like it's a lot easier, but it's okay. It's really not the best. And then we have the Kishi. The Kishi is the hardest one to plug in, but these little plastic pieces here, I think they're plastic, if not they're rubber, they're removable. So if you have a case with a phone, regular phone, Note 9 with a case, and that's my setup last time. If you have a Note 9 with a case, you can take out these little plastic pieces and plug them in, and it'll fit just fine. So if you have smaller phones, that's great. You can put the rubber pieces. So the important aspect of having these rubber pieces on this controller is basically to stabilize the phone. If you don't have these plastic pieces, the phone will move a lot. So this is what I mean. So this is what the plastic piece is on, and putting the phone in, like it seems a lot more sturdier. Yeah, see how it's like a lot more straightening out. Hopefully it captures well on video. So it's just more sturdy, more straight. But this is what happened if you were to take out the plastic pieces. And of course I'm gonna have a hard time in video, while outside video seems like a piece of cake, but on video it's gonna be a lot harder because everything is not what you want in video. But anyways, so you take out the plastic pieces, see how it's kind of like lifted up like this? That's because there's not enough clearance for it to be straight again. Unless you have a longer phone. If you have a longer phone than this is like 5.5 inches. So yeah, this is a really small phone now. So this is like 5.5 inches, and yeah, it's gonna tilt like this. That's basically how it's gonna look like if you were to remove the plastic pieces. But if you keep them on, you can basically stabilize the phone and have it not move around as much. So in terms of versatility and just the amount of phones you can use, the Razer Kishi is the worst one. So if that's your main concern, like you have a bunch of different phones, a folding phone, a regular phone, things like that, you have many different phones, get the GameSir. The GameSir is your best bet in terms of versatility. But in terms of actual fun to press and use and handle and things like that, the Kishi is the winner. Why? Because the Kishi has bigger analog sticks. They have a lot better range of movements. They click. And these are also linear. So if you play racing games, this is really good. The buttons are soft and tactile. So they feel good in the hands. You can do this for a long time without feeling pain. This is the most fun to use controller. So if your main goal is fun to play, and you have smaller phones or phones that you know will just fit in this sort of form factor, the Kishi is the #1 to go with. But in case if it's not, in case if you need a little bit more versatility, this is the next best thing. So this one, it's more versatile than the Kishi. There's not that many limitations, but the downside, these do not click. No matter how hard you press on it, you're gonna break the controller and it will not click. But they make up for it by having S3 and S1. So these, you can macro them to act as the clickers. So there's that. The second thing, these are the worst analog stick of the three, because these are not even Switch-like analog sticks, because Switch analog sticks actually click. These don't, and they have very little movements, as you can see here. Like, the movements are very little compared to the other two controllers. The buttons are soft and tactile, similar to the Kishi, and this is linear. Do not be fooled by the way how it looks in picture, because this is not. Oh wait, did I say they're linear? They're not linear. They're digital. There you go. That's what I meant to say. These are not linear. They look like them, but they're not. So they just click in, and that's pretty much it. So if you want something over linear R2, L2, you are stuck with the Kishi, because the GameSir is the same situation. And these are actually very hard to press, by the way. Like, they're not the easiest button to press. So these are harder to press. These are not as bad. And of course, the D-pad. The D-pad is very much like a Switch. It's all separated out. So if you play a lot of like Street Fighter, you're gonna make a lot of Hadoukens, you're gonna have a bad time. Unless somehow this is what your preferred method is and you have a good time, and then you comment down below and, oh yeah, this guy's wrong. Okay, yeah, sure. But this is gonna be those kind of split D-pad. So, but the buttons are nice and tactile. I really had to give them that. And then the GameSir. This is at the very beginning of the playthrough, it seems fine. In fact, if you mainly play FPS and racing games, you are fine, because these feel really good. They're not only very clicky and tactile, they're very fun to press. The analog sticks feel really good as well. Like, these feels good. They have good travel, not as good as the Kishi, but they have very good travel. They click. These are digital, but they're a lot easier to press than the N1 mobile controller. A lot easier to press though. And these are really fun. And then it comes to face buttons. Like, in the beginning of the playthrough, you're like, you know what? This guy's wrong. This is fine. This is fine. 2 hours later, pain. This is painful, and your thumb is gonna develop a mark. Like, I had that before, where my thumb literally developed the mark of the button, because I'm doing this too much, playing beat 'em up games. So that might happen to you. It certainly happened to me. It's pretty much the only reason why I do not like the GameSir as much. Is the fact that these are not soft. They're on the harder ends, and they are tactile, but they're just not soft. So it's because they're not soft, it's a lot harder for me to keep something like this and play it for a long time, which is sad, because this has a lot of potential. If they make GameSir version 3 or something like that, and they have the buttons from the Razer Kishi, oh, that is the dream. That's the dream right there. But they don't. So these will hurt you. Well, I mean, it hurt me, but it might hurt you. If it does not hurt you, that's great. Besides that, I really want to recommend putting this thing on the spot as #1. But the fact that it hurts me, I cannot put it at #1. Because sadly, there is no #1. each one of these controllers have their own compromises. Like this one has not good analog sticks, has separated D-pad, but it's the smallest one. Is it the smallest one? It is not the smallest one, but it is the lightest one. So if you want something light and pocketable-ish, this is it. And this feels really light too, by the way. Like this feels really light, not as hard as the GameSir is. If you want overall just fun to press and things like that, gonna have a good time playing for a long time, this is it. The bad, you're very limited to your phone choices. And also, this putting it back and forth, you cannot do this quickly. This takes a little bit longer to set up, so there's that too. This is the most versatile. If you have folding phones, if you have regular phones, it will work. But this is also the most painful to use, sadly. But that's only me. So if this is not painful for you, that's fine, because I'm pretty sure the moment when I upload this video, I'm gonna have a bunch of comments saying this guy's crazy, I never experienced any pain with this controller. If that is you, that is fantastic. This is #1 for you. I have no doubt, because they have a good D-pad, very versatile, you know, it's all lined up straight. This is the best one. So, yep. If I have to pick one out of the three, I will go for the Kishi, and I will have a phone that's not a folding phone, which is why I have this, because this is not a folding phone. And yep, you can do that. This one is kind of like a series of compromises. It is the cheapest one. I think this can go for like 40 bucks. This is 60 bucks. This is 60 bucks some of the time. This is 70 bucks most of the time. So, yep. I think that's pretty much it. So, in terms of comparing the three, if I have to put it, I'll go like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, because it's the most fun, it's the most joyful one to use. 2, the most versatile but painful to use, but very versatile. 3, this isn't the best one, but you do have direct input, but it's just not the best one. So that's this one. But in terms of what I predict the community might put it as, so this is my prediction. 1, 2, 3. Okay. This is like the favorite child so far that I have seen. A lot of people love this controller, so this is the favorite child of the community. This one, I think this one is second, because this one is third just because a lot of people hate this controller. Like, I don't know why a lot of people seem to hate this controller, but I believe a lot of people hate this controller from basically looking at comments of other videos and things like that. So this is what I predict the community will put it as. 1, 2, 3. This one is very, very elusive, I guess you can say, because it's like not a lot of people know about this. Not a lot of videos are made for this particular controller. But yeah, so I think this one's going to be placed on #2 just for the fact that this is a hated controller. So yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so if you find this video helpful, if you're in the market for a direct connection controller, you hate Bluetooth, you hate charging another device, one of these things will probably do it, most likely this one. But yeah, one of these controllers will probably fit your bill. If they have links on them, I'll link them down below. Anyways, if you're new, click subscribe, the bell, thumbs up for more content, comment as well. You can support me directly down in locals. You guys stay awesome.